Well, hello and welcome to episode 18 of You with Jesus. In episode 16, we looked at Jesus calling the disciples, and in that episode, we skimmed over the calling of Nathanael. So I want to look at it again in more detail in this episode because it's such a beautiful and powerful encounter. The next day, Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, "Follow me." Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Philip found Nathanael and told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law and whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." "Nazareth? Can anything good come from there?" Nathanael asked. "Come and see," said Philip. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, "Here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." "How do you know me?" Nathanael asked. Jesus answered, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree before Philip called you." Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." How's this, eh? Philip said to Nathanael, "We have found," and then says to Nathanael, "Come and see." But the miracle of this story is not what anyone finds or what anyone sees. The miracle is realizing that God saw you all along. Nathanael thought he was going to find Jesus. What he didn't know was that Jesus had already found him. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, "Here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." "How do you know me?" Nathanael asked. Jesus answered, "I saw you while you were still under the fig tree before Philip called you." You might feel like you're looking for God, but the truth is, he sees you and he knows you before you even started looking. In Ephesians 1, verse 8, Paul says, "He knew me before the creation of the world." The psalmist expresses it this way, "You know when I sit and when I rise, before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely." Personally, I find that difficult to comprehend, but God knows all that. And the psalmist himself says, "Such knowledge is too wonderful for me." So what do we do when God is above our comprehension? We've got a choice. We can either bring God down to our level so that he fits into what we can understand, or we can do what Nathanael did when he was confronted by the fact that he was fully known, and that was to worship. Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." And part of what Jesus says about Nathanael is that he is someone in whom there is no deceit, or in whom there is nothing false. Some translations say no guile. So no guile, no deceit, nothing false. Do you know anyone like that in whom there is nothing false? It's an outstanding quality. One person I know really well is my wife, and she's someone I can honestly say there is nothing false in her. She wouldn't want me to be suggesting that she's perfect in every way, but with Kathy, what you see is what you get. There are no ulterior motives, no hidden agendas. She always trusts, always looks for the good, always speaks the truth. She's so truthful that if a complete stranger asked her, "What did you have for breakfast this morning?" she wouldn't say, "Excuse me, do I know you? None of your business." She would just tell them in great detail what she had for breakfast. She's a terrible negotiator because she puts all her cards on the table up front. And I'm always standing off to the side, shaking my head and dying with her absolute honest and pure heart. Now, is that a Christian trait particularly? I don't think so. I just think some people are a beautiful open book. Now, what I'm saying goes against what the reformers of the 17th century said about the nature of human beings. And they put all their teachings into the creeds of the church. And they said that we are, quote, "wholly defiled in all the parts and faculties of soul and body, that we are utterly indisposed, disabled, and made opposite to all good, and wholly inclined to all evil." It's not that I disagree with what the creed says, it's just that I disagree with what the creed doesn't say. There's nothing in this creed about the worth and dignity of humankind. Or perhaps I do disagree with what the creed says. I certainly disagree with how it's expressed. And the suggestion in doctrine statements like this is that we're simply worms, full of sin, shuddering in holy fear before a wrathful God. That, to me, is a very disturbed view of humankind and a distorted view of how God sees us. Jesus says of Nathanael, before he has any expression of faith or belief or following Jesus, I see you and I know you. And you know what I know? Here is a true Israelite in whom there is nothing false. Let me ask you a question. For what good deeds did Jesus affirm Nathanael? Any? None. Jesus' estimation of Nathanael came not from what Nathanael had done in order to please God. I wonder what Jesus knew about Nathanael's past, presumably everything. He finds Jesus saying to him, in front of the other disciples, here is a man in whom there is nothing false. There's no deceit in this fellow. We must never confuse our efforts or performance with God's love and acceptance of us. Bad parenting and unhealthy relationships in general do this, and it leads to pathological conditions where I feel I need to please you in order to feel accepted and secure. But with God, He loves you because He loves you. There is nothing you could do from now to eternity that would make God love you any more than He does right now. Jesus says, I see you and I know you. Now we could hear that as, I see you, and boy, do I know you. I know what a complete stuff-up and failure of a Christian you are. For goodness sake, can't you pick up your act? Everyone else manages to be pretty close to perfect. Why not you? Or we can hear, I see you and I know you in this way. And to illustrate this alternative, I want to read to you a little bit of poetry I wrote a few years back, which I called, I see you and I know you. I see you and I know you. All the self-talk, the bad talk, the lie talk, the death talk, the wrong thoughts, the off thoughts, the I thoughts, the weird thoughts, the sly ways, the my ways, the dumb ways, the mindless ways. I see you and I know you and you're mine. I see not what you were or aren't, but simply as my child, accepted, loved, valued, treasured, like a babe in heaven's arms, wrapped in grace, destined for glory. I see you and I know you when you sit and when you rise, when you stand and when you lie down at night to go to sleep. I see you there and watch and keep you in my warmth and love's embrace, sing over you with songs of grace. I nullify the words that hurt, the pain of talk that robbed your days. I know you, child, and you I see and bore the curse to make you free. So rise then, not in you, but me. Rise in the future that I see, a future not of perfect steps, but still a future I call blessed. So do not curse what I have blessed, simply let my yes be yes. I see you and I know you, and when I see what I have made, I cannot help but strongly say, good, very good. He sees you and he knows you. What will you do with that? Why don't you do what Nathanael did? Then Nathanael declared, Rabbi, you are the King of Israel. See you in the next video.